It's Song Talk Radio.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio, the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. I'm your host, Neil Modi, and with me, my co-host, Phil Emery. How are you doing, Phil?
I'm doing very well, Neil. Very happy to be here, as always, and very excited about this show because it's one of our funnest.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast for this one. We had a great time with this sort of stuff last couple of years, so it's bound to be a hoot again. So please send your comments and questions to at Song Talk Radio on Facebook or Instagram, or feedback at songtalk.ca for the email, and we'll share your thoughts on the show. And please visit songtalk.ca to see the show post for this episode, to find links to resources we mention, and to download lyric and chord sheets to follow along with the songs that we feature. And today it's all about the songwriting challenge, which we are still accepting submissions, even though the webpage may say the deadline was today or yesterday or something like that. But if you're feeling it, then by all means, please send them in, and we'll certainly look at them and most probably do an episode in the fall. Can we do
it? Can we change that date on the website?
Change the date. I've already changed it like 3 times. It used to be, I think originally it was March or something.
No. Well, we want to give people lots of time.
Yeah. Well,
it is a challenge.
It is a challenge. We took our dandy time with it too, so that's all good.
Yeah.
We're getting in the meat of it now, and of course, so the last few weeks, I shared my answer to the challenge. Phil shared his answer to the challenge, so you want to check those episodes out, and as well our resource page on the website, on the sidebar, you'll see the Songwriting Challenge 2023. There's a bunch of videos and infographics and a bunch of stuff you can check out to learn yourself about modes, and as well at the bottom of that page we're going to add the episodes that we've done, including the one that we did way back when with the composer Jeff Allen Greenway, where we dove deep on 2 popular songs in modes and talked about stuff in general, and then the one where I shared my challenge, and Phil's challenge answer will be on there as well, and the listener episodes as well. So they'll all be there for you for your listening, viewing, reading pleasure.
Yes.
All right. So like we said, tonight we're showcasing the first batch of our listener answers for 2023 challenge. So write a song in a mode. We're going to share 3 of the songs, and we're going to read a little bit about their process that they sent to us. So if you're still looking at sending a song, make sure you send in an MP3. The lyrics and the chords, please, and a little paragraph about your songwriting process, what you went through and how you tackled the challenge and what you learned about modes and all that good stuff.
Please do.
Right on. Okay, so let's just get down to it then, shall we?
Indeed. So
let's start with Lynn Mo. Lynn Mo came to us last year with a challenge answer, didn't he?
Indeed.
Yeah, which was a great song, and we're happy to hear from Lynn again. So Lynn says, greetings, Neil and Phil. Please find attached my submittal for the 2023 Songwriting Challenge, Cleanup Time, which is the title. Also, lyric and chord sheet attached, and that will be on the show post as well for this episode. So basically, I went with D Dorian. The verses are 1 and 5, with the last line ending on the major 4. The chorus is essentially the same. I play with D minor 7 on the 5th fret to change things up a little. I came up with a cool rhythm moving around from the A minor position. Had fun playing around with moving from the B flat major, which is the 6th chord, to the G major, the 4 chord, and the C major, the 7 chord in the bridge. The one thing I tried for this song is to come up with a bass line. I usually leave that up to a bassist to come up with the bass part for the songs I produce. For this one, I use electric bass loops, mostly from splice.com, that I edited together into a sort of hodgepodge bass part. Say that 10 times fast. Hodgepodge bass part.
Hodgepodge bass
part. It came out okay, and it was a good challenge. Hope you will consider this one for the pod. Really enjoy listening to each and every episode. Keep on keeping on. Thank you so much, Lynn, for the support and for the good description there.
Now, so she's doing it in Dorian. And what makes Dorian different?
So Dorian is one sort of step away from major. So it's the same as, no, sorry, it's two steps away from major. Mixolydian is the first step away from major with one flat. Dorian is like a major, but there's a flat 7 and a flat 3.
Sorry, what was that again?
The Dorian's just like major, but it has a flat 7 note and a flat 3 note.
A flat 7 and a flat 3.
Yeah.
Flat 3 and flat 7, right?
Yeah. So it is considered one of the minor modes, meaning that the root chord, the one chord, is a minor chord.
It's a minor, yeah.
So because only Lydian major and Mixolydian are major modes. The rest of them down the stream, down the Locrian, are all minor. Actually, Locrian's not even a minor mode; it's a diminished mode.
That's right. So in Dorian, the one chord is A minor. The second chord is A minor. The three chord, which is flattened, of course, is a major.
That's going to be diminished.
No, well, in my thing it says the 6th chord is diminished.
Oh, that's right. In Dorian, yes.
Yes, and then the 4 chord is major. The 5 is minor. The 6 is diminished.
Yes,
and then the 7 is major.
Major. Yeah.
So, Dorian has a very distinctive sound to it. So that should be quite interesting. Yeah,
the most famous example, I think, is Scarborough Fair, is written in Dorian, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe that's kind of that old sort of English folk.
Yeah. It's one of those modes that's like in between the major and minor. So it's not quite as dark as minor, close to it, but a little bit happier than minor, maybe. So he's working a lot with so he said the verses are 1 and 5, so that's 2 minor chords in the verse, and then the chorus is essentially the same: D minor 7, and then B flat, which is the major 6, and G major and C major.
Yeah, what key is she doing this in?
Lynn's a guy, actually.
Yes, sorry.
He's doing D Dorian.
D Dorian, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
With all the white keys, starting on D, all the white keys. Of course, he's a guitarist, so.
Right. We know nothing about no white keys.
Yeah, it's all the white frets.
All right.
No such thing. Yeah, let's take a listen to Lynn's song.
All right. So his verses, D minor 7, and then A minor is mostly the verses.
Yep.
Okay.
control, it'll steal your soul. You got to clean up time. Regrets your foe, need to let it go. You got to clean up time. You got to clean up, clean up. You got to clean up time. You got to clean up, clean up. You got to clean up time. You got to clean up, clean up. You got to clean up time. You got to clean up, clean up. You got to clean up time.
Nice.
Very cool. Little
Very
ticking
nice
clock.
use of the clock sound.
The
That
clock
was
sound,
really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Of course, the clock's got to be in time.
That's true.
That's what clocks do.
An interesting, I've never heard like, you've got to clean up time, which I thought was an interesting
Yeah,
bunch
Right.
of words. Like it's just,
yeah.
and that's kind of nice. Like as you go, oh, it's clean up time,
Mhm.
or you got to clean up. But having those two, it really kind of sticks out because you're going, wow, that's really interesting,
Well, and then the way he used it too, it is cleanup time. You've got to clean up time. So it becomes a verb.
Yeah.
The clean is a verb. If it is cleanup time, then cleanup time is kind of a noun in and of itself. But
Yeah.
but if you've got to clean up time, then that implies that time might be dirty, which is another phrase I've never heard before. Is there really dirty time? You ever heard that phrase?
Well, not in a long time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, and very much a minor sounding thing. Like he's got, it's nice. It's nice at the end of the verse when he finally goes to the G major. It's like D minor, A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, G major, right? And it sort of brightens up that transition into the chorus.
Yeah.
And then at the cleanup time is such a great hook. You get the cleanup time. It's such a great little hook.
Well, and sometimes because if something doesn't necessarily make sense, I mean, there's people who say, oh, well, and I think we had that conversation with Susan, the incredible Susan Catania, who, of course, is an amazing talent.
Yeah.
But I don't mind things that are technically wrong, because sometimes those are the things that kind of stand out, and that's what people kind of grasp onto. It's they can be kind of a hook in and of themselves. So I'm not as much of a stickler. I mean, if it grabs your ear, then it grabs your ear, and I think that's the interesting thing. I thought the song really got going in the second verse. And I really liked there's a feeling I get, it's not over yet. There's more here than meets the eye. I thought that stanza, which is the D minor, over the D minor and the A minor, D minor 7 and the A minor, that is a perfect line. Like the way it hits, the way it's sung, the way it fits on the line is great. But there's a couple things he could do. He has a couple of times in the second verse where you're trying to rush some words to make them fit, and you can just take those words out and it would be fine. Like you could take the two's out, one story has been told, another unfolds with a purpose yet to find. Like you don't have to say another two unfold, even though that's proper English. But I think you can take away those twos and the I's, because I think the intention comes through in the song.
Yeah.
So, and it's probably better to have stuff scan well than for it to be, grammatically correct, because it's music is a feeling thing. So.
Yeah, certainly, and when it comes down to it, melody often trumps necessarily, meaning or anything like that. Like to me, melody is king.
Yeah. And then, like the last line, he has need to stand behind those younger eyes. You just go stand behind those younger eyes. You don't have to say need to. You just say stand behind those younger eyes to see what I've seen, and it'll kind of scan better.
Yeah, some of those younger eyes and see what I've seen.
Yeah. So if you're ever in a situation where you're trying to really unnaturally speed up words to try to get a stanza to fit into your verse, see if you can take out those words, and you probably can. There's very few times when you can't. It'll like if it scans well, it'll sound correct.
Yeah, absolutely. If it flows, if it's smooth.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sort of draw attention to itself.
Yeah.
As a clunky line or phrase or real lyric. Yeah, for sure.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I quite liked it. I really dig the hook. He's got time changes in the chorus. I don't know if you noticed. There's 2/4. Every time you go clean up is a 2/4 bar. Everything else is 4/4. If you clean up, time to clean up is 1 2, and it goes back to 1.
Wow,
that threw me off for a couple times. I was like, wait a minute.
It's one thing to do with a live band, but doing it like at home with your DAW it's a challenge. I mean, not that it's impossible to do, but it's
no. You just gotta sit there and insert every time so you get your change. It's annoying.
Yeah, and the hook is D suspended for an E minor 6, which is nice. You don't see too many E minor 6 around. That's kind of a nice, sexy chord.
Yeah, it's a nice little extension there, and it invokes that tension, right? With the 6 in there, you get a little bit of friction with the tension, and then resolves to the G major. So he's really using the G major as this kind of dominant chord to bring you back to the D.
So in D, what is the G? Is that the
4?
Is that the 4?
That's the 4, because the 5 is minor. But he's got, and it's not really, it's about as dominant as you get in that mode, I guess.
Yeah.
Because there's no semitone relationship there, but it's, it does feel big and open on the G, and then closes back down when you hit the D.
Now in my chart, I have the 5 as a dominant 7. So in my chart, it says it should be a G7, not a G major 7, which is a different chord, but a G7.
You could do it as a G7.
Yeah.
But I mean, G7, the first 3 notes is a G major. You're just adding the 7. It could be dominant, or it could just be the triad. Arguably, with the 7, you get a little more attention there, and a little more draw back to the 1. At least in a major key. When in a minor key, it certainly has a different feeling.
Yeah, that is true.
The pull is not quite as strong back to the thing, but he certainly has used that G major chord as a sort of and then bring it back.
Yeah, it's nice. And I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to do the production. Like, I basically didn't do any production on mine, but because I finished it like an hour before the show. But the fact that you put in those clock sounds, and it's one of those times when I think it really does. It fits musically and it fits conceptually, which is a nice thing, because sometimes people put sounds into songs and like it works kind of maybe conceptually, but not so much musically. But this worked out really well. Fun stuff. Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, great stuff, Lynn. And of course, I believe, he's got a link as well to the rest of his music. If you're curious to hear more, Lynn Mo Music, LYNNMOE music.com.
Nice.
So we'll put that link in the show post, and you can check out more of Lynn's music. Did he tell us where he's from last year? Canadian or American?
I think he's Canadian. I don't know why I think that, but.
Okay. We'll find out next time. Lynn.
I mean, if you want us to go way back into our emails and actually look these things up,
Yeah.
You haven't been listening to the show.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on to Paul Gallagher. Paul Gallagher, of course, is a good friend of the Song Talk meetup. He's a local Toronto fella, plays piano, writes some pretty quirky songs sometimes.
He does.
Okay, so Paul wrote to us and said, "Here is what not to do when considering using modes." And I thought I was so smart. Technically, my song is in A Lydian, and sonically to the ear, it is an E. Here are the mistakes I made, and they're very typical. Number one thing I forgot is that modes give us ambiguous and impressionistic music. Okay. I started out in Lydian, sort of happier. In A, since the sharp four, the D sharp, gives me a B major chord.
All right.
And I thought I was well on the way. So that's typical Lydian thing. You go from the major one to the major two, right?
Right.
So you get the B major chord. Even though I used, quote, all the right chords, I used too many. Can you tell he's a piano player? To establish a modal feel, I need to use fewer chords. Typically, if I had stuck to chords 1 and 2, right, major 1, major 2, all would have been fine, although it would have not really been the song I wanted to write. No, it would have been Fleetwood Mac's Dreams.
Yeah.
Some of the good things I did were pedaling the A for the B7 and adding extensions and interesting inversions in the verse and chorus. The bridge may be considered Lydian and also borrowed chords to create a longing or lost atmosphere. The problem goes back to when I used the D sharp minor 7 flat 5. D sharp minor, oh goodness, that's way out of key, and B7 at the end of most sections. These two typically drive the listener to want to hear the major tonic, which is the E, not the Lydian tonic, which is A. And that is what I played, emphasizing the E on the verse and chorus. So here it is in all its mistaken glory. Send us a link. Thanks for hosting the podcast and the meetups. Very helpful in my songwriting, Paul Gallagher. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, it is an interesting thing. Like, you know, if you're going to play in a mode and you know what the tonic is, but the tonic feels like it's something else, what do you do, right? Interesting dilemma. And maybe it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Well, it's basically this is just a way of getting yourself out of your habits.
Yeah.
And trying something else. But also, I think when we are working in modes, is the chords are important.
Yeah.
And certainly from a guitar playing standpoint, makes it a lot easier to write stuff. But I think you also need to kind of emphasize the unusual or altered notes of the mode that you're in. And like really focus on those to make sure that you're getting those out. Either you're leading with them or they're at your end of the line.
Yeah.
But they're not just like a passing note, but and I think that will help reinforce the modiness of it.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. My whole family's full of modiness. Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, and that's why I don't know about a lot of modal songs, but some of the easier modal songs, like we mentioned Fleetwood Mac Dreams, right? It's just F major, G major, F major, G. The whole song is F major, G major. So it's definitely Lydian. Like there's no doubt that is Lydian, and one chord is the tonic, and the second chord is the tension chord, and it brings you back, right? And a lot of things, a lot of modal songs do that. And you were talking about that when you're talking about developing your song, Phil, is finding out what those intervals are, what those chord relationships are that really define the mode, and sticking to, or at least emphasizing
leaning into them,
yeah, really leaning into them and using them, right? And I did that to a certain extent with mine, and it seems like Paul got a little bit, sidetracked with, is it E, is it A? Yeah. Because his verse is kind of, E major, C sharp minor, which is clearly an E.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the verse, he goes and starts using the B major, but it's still not clear that but the B major is also the 5 in E. So it's the major 5 in E. So then it is going to pull you back to E.
Right. And he's doing this in G?
He's not. He said he's in A Lydian.
Oh well, yeah, because A Lydian very often will often go into an E for a chorus or for another section because they are very tightly related. So it's an easy thing to fall into, definitely.
Yeah, certainly. But if you're in A and you're in Lydian, the 5 chord is the major chord, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is, I guess that's what he means by the ambiguity of it all, because it could get a little bit fuzzy where your home chord really is.
Yeah.
So let's take a listen and see how that feels. Like where does home feel in this song?
So Lydian, the 1 and the 2 chord are major, the 3 is minor, the 4 is diminished, and of course that is sharpened.
Yeah.
The 5 is major, and then the 6 and the 7 are just minor, which is nice because sometimes the major is the 7's supposed to be diminished, but nobody actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, no matter what mode you're in, the diminished is going to move. Depending on which mode you're in, but a lot of the time it's bracketed because we don't kind of go there. Sometimes people use it as a passing chord.
Yeah.
It's never really something to put a lot of focus on.
It's something I've had trouble with, but I think, again, that might be a guitar thing. Okay, let's take a listen to it, and then we'll talk some more.
Cool. Wow. Yeah, and we forgot to mention, in case you didn't gather, I Like It When It Snows. That's the title of the song.
Well, and it's so nice to have I don't think I've ever heard a song about I Like It When It Snows. Mm-hmm. And I've heard lots of songs about I Love You or You Broke My Heart or.
It reminds me of Garbage's I'm Only Happy When It Rains.
No, that's true. That's right. This is the follow-up. Now, he also has some time...
This is the Canadian version.
That's true. Now, he has some time signatures on his sheets. So is he going through all these different time signatures?
Where did he write different time signatures?
In the bridge. Well, he has 2, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4.
All of those numbers.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
I don't know. Yeah. I didn't even look at that, to be honest.
Because sometimes it does seem like he's using some kind of wacky
rhythms,
time signatures. So
yeah, it could very well be. I did not notice that in the bridge. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he did say like he wanted a little bit of a darker feel in the bridge, so he certainly went.
Yeah.
Did he go a little bit minor there? It's hard to work out his chord things on the sheet.
Yeah, because he actually gives us the notes.
He gives us literally the notes, just like
B, D, F sharp,
which is like a major with a 6.
Oh, I think it's B, D, F sharp.
B, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp.
D sharp, F sharp, over a G sharp, I think.
Oh, maybe it's over a G sharp.
I think it's over a G sharp.
Which essentially makes it a G minor 7. Yeah. That's just a G sharp minor 7. Anyway.
Yeah, interesting. I have any little chorus. I like it when it's snowing.
Yeah.
I like it when it snows. I like it when it's snowing.
But certainly when he hits that B7, it's the same thing that happened in Lynn's song where he used that G major to sort of brighten the tone and then go back. So he is using that B chord as more like a dominant chord that pulls you back to your tonic. So then it's still, but in his chorus, the tonic, at least for the second half of the chorus, is A.
Yeah.
Then it also goes back to an E. So yeah, he's using it in both contexts, in the major context and in the Lydian context. So it's a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah. Paul always has lots of ideas in his songs.
Yeah.
They're never boring. There's always tons of things happening and lots of time signatures, and it's an achievement to do that because it's it's easy with modern technology to have stuff that's all in loops and everything is 4/4, and that's what I do most of the time. So when someone doesn't do that, I do appreciate the work that goes into it. Yeah.
Certainly he's thought through this thing and put a lot of deliberate intention behind all of it. Yeah. It is a little bit like, it's pretty smooth. Like there's not a lot of contrast between the sections.
Yeah.
You just kind of ebbs into the verse and out of the verse and into the chorus.
Yeah, I mean, although the chords are different in the verse and the chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Great stuff. Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, let's move on to Steve Johnson. And Steve Johnson wrote to us. So his song is called Just Do It Already, Steve Johnson Jr. I set out to write a song in G Lydian. So this is another Lydian song.
Okay.
While I accomplished writing a song, my ears can't decide where home truly lies. Here we go again, which is undoubtedly somewhere in the realm of D major, the source of G Lydian. The verse goes between G major 7 add 9, the 4 of D, and F sharp minor 7, the 3 of D, the minor 3 of D. The vocal melody kind of lives more in D major, relying on A, F sharp, and D as cadence points, the notes of the D major triad. The primary piano part is actually a D over G chord. All that being said, there is a pull toward F sharp minor 7. On its own, the vocal melody has a slight Phrygian feel, but not quite. The pre-chorus goes between A7 and G major 7. So there's your Lydian bit between the G and the A.
Right.
Both majors. The chorus is G major 7, F sharp minor 7, and E minor 7. There's a brief rhythmic turnaround to get back to the verse that teases D major, but veers away quickly, moving through some more chords to return to the G major 7. The bridge begins by teasing more D over G territory, heavily leaning into the C sharp. Where's the C sharp in there? The defining number 4 sound of the Lydian mode. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be the 4.
Yeah. In A? No, in G Lydian.
Yeah.
Eventually, D major settles in before transitioning back to the chorus chords with a different melody, leading back to another cycle of a chorus and the verse riff to end the tune. So is this tune in G Lydian? 1 minor 7 for the verse, 2 to 1 in the pre-chorus, like major 2, major 1 in the pre-chorus, 1 minor 7, minor 7, minor 6 for the chorus, a bridge on the major 5 chord, perhaps. Is it a tune in F sharp Phrygian? And he gives the examples of all the ways that it's Phrygian, a bridge on the 4 chord, less likely, all the notes in D major, but the tune doesn't really sound like it's in the key of D. Yes, I think that's it.
Yeah.
So,
it's melody,
yeah. So it's there's a lot of question marks there about, is it in Lydian? Is it not in Lydian? It depends on how you look at it. The melodies are a little bit more Phrygian. Certain parts of songs can feel more major or more Lydian.
Yeah.
Depending on, like we were saying before, how much you lean into the Lydianness of the Lydian mode.
Yeah.
Right. If you really lean into that, then your song's going to be for sure in Lydian. But as soon as you start playing around and maybe stretching it so it's not so Lydian in another section of your song, then it's a little bit harder to nail down what's the song in.
Yeah, because in Lydian, having that root is really important, and then really emphasizing the sharpened 4th and then the 5th. Those 2 notes, those are the things that really define Lydian. And if you never do the sharpened 4th in your melody, it will sound less Lydian because it just tends to not.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. You gotta, and again, it's not a have to. You don't have to, express the Lydianness. But I suppose in terms of this challenge, it's something to at least strive for. Yeah.
And again, this is all just a way of getting out of our habits and exploring something we probably wouldn't have done otherwise. And I certainly wouldn't have written the song that I wrote without this. Because I just didn't, but I'm certainly glad I did. So.
Yeah, me too, for sure. Certainly learned a lot throughout this whole process. But yeah, it's interesting process. Okay, so let's take a listen to Steve Johnson, who's, by the way, is coming to us from Rhode Island, Coventry, Rhode Island.
Oh, right.
Yeah, US of A. All right.
Take a listen.
Yep.
Say all you're doing today. Friends call a welcoming delay. Aiming near and far, you always find your way. The best of all the words, the everything in taste. Ooh, moves the target now. Somehow steady, just do it already. Just do it already. Just do it already. Ooh. Waking a little to play. Breaking at just about halfway. Wander near and far, the winding path to lay. Bubbling to the top, this time is yours to waste. Ooh, gains offense control. Ooh, rules the measured go. Somehow steady, just do it already. Just do it already now. Just do it already. of it. Go right on to think of it. Make peace, you're doing fine. Leaving soon, leaving soon. Just do it already. Just do it already now. Just do it already. Just do it already now. Ooh, the long goodbye. Ooh, the long goodbye. Ooh, the long goodbye.
Wow.
That's great.
Very cool.
Very, very Steely Dan-y,
Yeah.
which I thought was so cool because that's a great comparison there.
Yeah. Very much a compliment.
Yes, if you haven't heard of Steely Dan, you should go and listen to Steely Dan.
Yeah, I'm not all that familiar from Steely Dan, but what I've heard is like, whoa,
Yeah,
really inventive, Nicole. Yeah, and then this is very inventive. It's the, you know, they get that. I'm not sure if it's a 6/8 or a 6/4 time
Yeah.
signature. It's kind of in between that because it's not bum 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 bum
Yeah.
bum like a 6/8. It's more like a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2
it's
3
very
4 5
jazzy.
6. Yeah, and I don't know what the time signature is in everybody's song today. He goes 5/8 in the bridge. I don't know if you noticed that.
Something like that, yeah.
In the bridge, I was counting it halfway through the bridge. Like, wait a minute, it's 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5.
That's
Good.
nice.
Yeah, pretty cool. And what a great hook. Just do it already. Super
Yes.
cool.
And, you know, not just a poppy hook, but I think a real sort of jazzy, you know, hook. And I love the breaks, the oohs. I think that's the true hook of the song is the ooh. It's really, really, yeah, what a great tune.
Yeah, very tasty.
And interesting scannings of the lines, you know, they are kind of jazzy and well, not really syncopated, but, you know, certainly not four in the floor kind of delivery of the melody lines, which I really appreciated. I really like that. I mean, you know, it's...
Did it feel particularly Lydian to you, to sound particularly Lydian?
The verses certainly did.
Yeah.
And maybe the chorus, I have to admit, after a while, I stopped listening for that and just kind of got into the song. So
Yeah. I know what you mean. It made me take a couple of listens to sort of get the feel of it and really kind of dissect it. Because even the Just Do It Already chorus hook, I don't know. Is it a major melody? It seems like a little bit of a wonky melody, slightly. I don't know if he's leaning into the Lydian there or not. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I'd have to sit down with it. I think it is. I mean, it really sounds kind of modal. I don't think it sounds straight off major or minor, which is really what we're kind of getting here. So it doesn't sound like just a major or it doesn't sound like just a minor. So it does sound
somewhere in
modal.
between. Yeah.
You know, whether or not it is anything, it doesn't matter. It doesn't sound like a major or a minor, which is the whole point of this thing.
Yeah.
So, what a great little tune and really hooky.
Yeah.
Sometimes jazzy stuff is interesting, but not necessarily hooky. And this is very hooky, which made me think of Steely Dan.
Yeah. Hooky and interesting bits for sure.
I did kind of want to hear like a really hot, you know, guitar solo. Steely Dan always had Steely Dan was basically two guys, and they just had like the best of the best LA musicians playing the various parts on their on the records, and they'd have every song would have a different set of musicians. And I think the solo for their song Peg, they had 10 different guitarists come in and do a solo for it.
Oh, really?
So yeah. Interesting stuff. There's a great behind the music.
Oh yeah, I love behind
on Steely Dan. Interesting stuff. But yeah, Steve, a really cool tune.
Yeah, very, very cool. Definitely like to hear some more of your stuff.
I wouldn't mind actually finding out about the time signatures that you used, because they.
Yeah, actually, I didn't read his entire email, but he does say it's mostly in 6/8, but I couldn't resist slipping into 5/8, 3+2 during the bridge.
That's what it was.
Yeah, the rhythmic turnaround is a bar of 6/8 and then 5/8, but doesn't really feel that way. So yeah, he's definitely playing around with that stuff.
Very impressive. I don't know if I have you'd have to set up different time signatures in your DAW. I mean, it can be done. It seems like a lot of work.
It is. I know I've done that many times, and yeah, it's a pain. I wish DAWs would just let you like define a section with various time signatures and say this is the verse, and every verse is like that.
Oh, right. That you just say a verse is this. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. Instead, you have to like if you have a 2/4 bar in the middle of each verse, you have to define that, and then individually. Like it's not as smart as it should be.
Like an animal. It's. They put someone on they landed someone on the moon, but they can't get DAWs to babysit our time signatures.
Well, I mean, the whole idea behind MIDI is that it's supposed to be synonymous with sheet music, right? In sheet music, you would write one verse musically and write the various lyrics for the verse underneath the same music bed. We'd always go do the repeat and go back to the verse. So you don't have to define the time signature changes and stuff once in sheet music. So by extension, it should be that simple.
And there might be, maybe there, like, who knows, there's lots of DAWs out there.
Yeah, maybe someone out there has done it, but.
Yeah. You can kind of sort of do that in Cubase, like you do one, and then you can just repeat that.
Would it take all the time signature changes with it?
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay. There, fine. Yeah. So I just have a loser DAW then.
Or no, it's because you have like that arranger chain thing, and it should. So you just have like you do your one verse, and then you have your arranger chain.
But if you've got different vocal takes, different lyrics for the subsequent sections, like yes, musically they're the same.
Well, with I don't know about your DAW, but with Cubase, once you like your arranger chain, you actually flatten it, and it repeats the stuff the way it's supposed to. So you would do the music and then...
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, fine. You could do it. Yeah, I could do it that way too, I guess, technically.
Probably.
Yeah. But then you gotta... Yeah, but then you have to work the way you work, where you don't do lyrics till the very end anyway. So you just kind of...
No one cares about the words.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about the groove.
It's all about the groove, yeah, absolutely. No, it really reminds me of like when I started on MIDI, I used this program on my Amiga 2000 called Music X, and everything there was...
Amiga 2000?
Amiga 2000. Everything on that program was a sequence.
Right.
And then you had to sequence the sequences.
Right.
So you would just record an 8-bar thing and then a 4-bar thing and then put it in order, and then you could repeat and whatever. There was no timeline as such.
Oh wow.
It was just a list of these different sequences that you recorded.
Right.
And stuff, right? And then when I finally got into, originally I was using Cubase actually when I finally got into the old sort of Pro Tools ripoff, the DAW, and I was like, oh, we got an entire timeline, so you have to put all your verses in separately. What kind of silliness is this? Okay, kind of got used to working that way, but yeah, back in the day, that wasn't. It was all. Yeah.
Well, on Amiga 2000.
It was like those fancy arrangement panels.
Yeah,
Essentially.
Yes, those are the good old-fashioned days, kids,
Yeah.
When we had to invent a computer every morning and...
And everything ran off of real floppy disk that flopped around.
And we loved it.
And we loved it. Oh, never mind. On Vic 20, we had a tape machine for one of our programs.
Yes, folks, we're old.
Yes, we're old. Okay, and that is all the time we have on Song Talk Radio. I'm here in the
Get
band.
off our lawns.
Get off our lawns. Special thanks to our awesome listeners.
Thank you so much
for taking part in this challenge. We love you guys, and keep them coming, because we love to hear them and we love to showcase them. So, of course, we love to hear from you. Send us your comments or whatever's on Facebook or Instagram to Song Talk Radio, or send us an email, feedback@songtalk.ca. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes, and subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. And you can find links to all the products, books, and web services we mentioned on our resources page. And please join us our next monthly Song Talk meetup, whether you're in Toronto for our in-person meetups or anywhere in the world for our online meetups. It's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend the meetup. Bring a song and a lyric sheet and get constructive feedback from other songwriters. Stop by songtalk.ca for the link. You can follow me at neilmodi.com. You can follow Phil
at philemery.ca. I added something to my webpage.
Ooh, fun. And be sure to stop by the website at songtalk.ca to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. Thanks for tuning in, and keep on writing.
Yay. Good show.
Good. All right. Boy, our listeners are clever.
Yeah, definitely. That last song was just what a great tune.
Yeah, cool.
Well, especially because I don't think, like, there's some stuff I go, oh, yeah, I could write that. You know, it's sort of in my wheelhouse. That's not my wheelhouse at all.
No, it's a little bit. It's quite a bit of mine.
I mean, I've done jazzy things, but I haven't, like, that's like people actually know how to play jazz as opposed to people who know how to fake it. So
yeah, that's what I always feel like. I did one of my Christmas songs a few years ago, and I wanted to do like a big band arrangement for it on my computer, and man, it kind of worked, but
not quite there.
Not quite there. I shared it with someone who knew more about this stuff, and he was like, "You'd never get trumpet players to play in that key signature."
Oh right, yeah, that's a huge thing too. Oh yeah,
it was like 3 sharps or something. Yeah. It's like, no, they're not going to do that.
As a guitar player, I'm just going, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Trumpets can only do certain things.
Well, they can do anything, but typical.
Yeah.
Because I think it's because a lot of instruments transposed on the flat side.
Yeah.
So anything you write in C, the trumpets are going to be in B flat, saxophones are going to be in E flat, and the other instruments are going to be in.
Which I've never understood. Like, why don't if you play, it doesn't matter what you play if it says C and it sounds C, like, why call it F sharp, like, or something else? Why not just call it C? Like, why transpose?
I have a feeling, I don't know for sure what the reason is, but I have a feeling it has to do with the construction of the instruments and the size and the proportion and the way that they're made. Mm-hmm. That's a limitation of, or it's just more sort of convenient and easier.
Not for me.
Not for the rest of us.
For the rest of us.
Oh my God. I remember trying to do some scoring, and when I was in high school, my God. You have to like transpose for every single instrument.
Oh God, yeah. That's
the flutes were in C. That's it.
Yeah.
Clarinets B flat, trumpets B flat. I think saxes were in E flat.
I think they should do the transposing.
Well,
I mean, it's not our fault that they're playing saxophone.
I guess. I'm sure all the scoring programs now just do it automatically.
Yeah, probably. Good. But by the time computers actually do things for us.
As they should.
As they should. We haven't lost
until the day when they start telling us what to do.
It's going possibly next year.
Possibly next year.
I saw a meme on the internet saying humanity pretty well okay with robots taking over at this point.
Yeah. We're like, feel like we're halfway there already.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't do much worse job, so.
Alrighty then.
Indeed.
Okie dokie, man.
Well, yeah. And I hope you feel better.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so too. It's not really
COVID.
affecting. It's just making me cough. And I'm like, I don't know. I went outside for a walk today and I didn't cough at all. So maybe it's the air in here. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about this whole COVID stuff again, but
yeah, fingers crossed. Anyway,
yes. Alrighty. Have a great evening, and I'll talk to you, I guess, on Tuesday.
Tuesday? Yeah. All right. Have a great weekend.
All right. Here.
Have a good one. Cheers.